beauty, welcome back to my channel. This is my most recent library haul. I have 7 books to show you today because I went to the library this week, and you know, if I go to the library I'm going to bring books home. Some of the books are books that I reserved, some of them are just books that I saw and thought I'd take them home. Some of them have been recommended to me for one or another reason, and I'm going to tell you about them. I'm going to try to tell you a little something about the book. You know, I don't like to know too much about a book before I read it, but for most of these I have some idea of what the book is going to be about, so I'm going to tell you. The first book I'm going to tell you about is Gandhi, The Years That Changed the World, 1914 to 1948, and this is by Ramachandra Guha. This book is, the page count at the back says 1069. All of that is not text. The text ends somewhere in the 800s. Why am I reading this? Well, for 2 reasons. I'm reading it because my husband is reading it and we're doing a buddy read together. We're also reading this because in March there's a challenge to read big books that are over 800 pages. It's called March of the Mammoths, and I'm going to link the co-host videos in the description box down below because I don't remember all the hosts' channel names, but I'm going to be reading this one. I'm going to be reading this one. Mr. Brown is going to be reading this one, and we're going to tell you about it. In fact, in March, we're planning a series where he'll have a couple of videos on the channel where he tells you some things about Gandhi. Okay, so maybe he's just going to tell me, but it's going to be fun. So this is the first book that I got from the library. No, I didn't want to go out and buy another copy because we already own one. So I got this copy from the library. And we're going to be reading this in March, so you'll hear a lot more about it. Then this is a biography of Mahatma or Mohandas Gandhi. Mahatma. There's another book, there's a companion biography to this one for the years that Gandhi was in South Africa. This covers the period when he had returned to India, and I think it leads up to the period of the revolution. I don't know. I'm going to learn a lot about this book after spending 800 and something pages reading it. So more on this later, but for now, that's the first book in my library haul. The next book is a book that someone recommended that I read, and it's also a chunkster. This one is The Half-Brother by Lars Saab Christensen. He's a Norwegian author. Norwegian? Last time I said that I got it right. He is one of Norway's most acclaimed novelists. Yes, he is. Like the title suggests, this one is supposed to be about 2 half-brothers. One who is the product of a rape and the other that is the product of, I guess, a loving relationship. And how these 2 children who are born from such different circumstances, how they relate to each other. One of them becomes a novelist, and when he's writing the tales about his family, how does he represent the other brother? And I'm looking forward to getting into this one. Someone recommended it to me because I think I had said on the channel that I hadn't read anything from a Norwegian writer or another Norwegian writer. I'd mentioned Sigrid Undsen and the person. I'm gonna find those commenters and link them in the description box because right now I can't remember. But I'm looking forward to reading more about books that are set in other parts of the world. I'm sorry. These library books have this plastic encasing which makes it hard to show you the book for a video. Let's see. Yep. So I'm going to tell you more about this book when I've read it. You'll hear more about it during the course of March. That's the plan, to read it during March and to tell you more about it. The Half-Brother by Lars Saab Christensen. I don't know. Someone will probably comment in this video and tell me that I pronounced the name completely wrong. And if that's you and you know how to pronounce this name correctly, then definitely go ahead. Comment down below. Let me know how to say it right, so that next time I talk about it, I won't embarrass myself. So we started the haul with a huge nonfiction biography. Then we have a huge fiction book. And now we have a medium-sized nonfiction. And this is The Interrogation Rooms of the Korean War, The Untold History as related by Monica Kim. Right now, President Donald Trump is meeting with the president of North Korea. And we've been talking a lot about Korea, but that's not the reason why I reserved this book at first. I first heard Steve Donahue mention it and I requested it from the library. And I'm going to be reading this one as part of a video series that I'm doing about books that other booktubers have talked about or raved about and that I want to check out myself. And so I requested this one. You'll hear a little bit more about it. I'm going to do dedicated videos for those booktuber recommendations. So stay tuned for that. Let's read a little of the synopsis together. It says, traditional histories of the Korean War have long focused on the violations of the 38th parallel, the line drawn by America and Soviet officials in 1945 dividing the Korean peninsula. But the interrogation rooms of the Korean War presents an entirely new narrative, shifting the perspective from the boundaries of the battlefield to inside the interrogation room, upending conventional notions of what we think of as geographies of military conflict. Monica Kim demonstrates how the Korean War evolved from a fight over territory to one over human interiority and the individual human subject, forging the template for the U.S. wars of intervention that would predominate during the latter half of the 20th century and beyond. I'm intrigued, and this one, while it looks like it's a big book, it's not that big. It's about 360 pages of pretty dense text. This should take me a few days if I am dedicated to it. And I really want to know a little bit more. I really want to know a lot more about the history of American relationship with Korea, both South Korea and North Korea, because it's Korea. And I'm gonna read more about it and share more about it in March. So March seems to be shaping up to a big nonfiction month. Let's see where that ends. I'm also reading some other biographies. So a few months ago, I think it was in November, Nonfiction November, I think it was, I read the Mouse series by Art Spiegelman, which was a graphic memoir of his father's life. And someone commented in that video and recommended some other graphic memoirs that I might be interested in picking up. One of them is Persepolis, and this is by Marjan Satrapi. Please, again, if I'm not pronouncing these names properly, then definitely let me know that in the comments down below. But with your comment, please let me know how to pronounce it so I'll know for next time. Persepolis is the story of a childhood, and this is about a young woman growing up in Iran during the Islamic Revolution. This, of course, is graphic memoir format, and it's 153 pages, so this should be an easy read. I don't know as much as I'd like to know about Middle Eastern politics and what it's like to have grown up in these countries, so I'm looking forward to reading this one. And I think the same person recommended that I also check out this graphic memoir series. They're called The Arab of the Future, and they're by Riyad Sattouf. They're subtitled A Childhood in the Middle East. This is the first book, and it has the time period 1978 to 1984. Then I have the second book that covers the period 1984 to 1985. So I'm assuming this is pretty intense period in the history that they're discussing. And then I have the third book that is now on reserve from the library. Hopefully it will come in March as well, so I can read these all together. And here's what the synopsis says. Now settled, nope, that's the second book. In striking virtuoso graphic style that captures both the immediacy of childhood and the fervor of political idealism, Riyad Sattouf recounts his nomadic childhood growing up in rural France, Gaddafi's Libya, and Assad's Syria, but always under the roof of his father, a Syrian pan-Arabist who drags his family along in his pursuit of grandiose dreams for the Arab nation. Riyad, delicate and wide-eyed, follows in the trail of his mismatched parents. His mother, a bookish French student, is as modest as his father is flamboyant. Venturing first to the great socialist people's Libyan Arab state and then joining the family tribe in Homs, Syria, they hold fast to the vision of the paradise that always lies just around the corner. That's all I want to read about this one. So I'm looking forward to getting into this one, and I like the fact that these pages are colored as opposed to these pages that are black and white. This is from Persepolis. So I'm looking forward to reading all of them. So you'll hear a little bit more about them as time goes on. Graphic novels are in my future. And the final book from my recent library haul is Less by Andrew Sean Greer. This is last year Pulitzer Prize winner, and I've been wanting to read it ever since. I'm finally getting around to it. Well, I haven't gotten around to it yet. I just picked it up from the library. The synopsis of this one is that we have a failed novelist about to turn 50 when he gets a wedding invitation in the mail, and the wedding invitation is from his recent ex, and that sets him on some kind of a trajectory to do something about his life, and he starts traveling the globe and gets himself into some scrapes. And that's as much as I know about the synopsis before, and as much as I want to know about it before I read it, because I really enjoy books about writers, books about novelists, love reading fictional stories about other fictional writers. And so even though I've heard some not so great reviews, I want to check this book out for myself. And I have high regard for the books that have won the Pulitzer Prize. In February, I read The Known World by Edward P. Jones, which is a previous Pulitzer Prize winner, and I absolutely love that book. It's one of the best reads that I've had so far this year, and I have huge respect for the Pulitzer Prize. So I don't want to unfairly bias my thoughts about this book before I go into reading it. I'm far enough removed from the hype that was around this book, especially when it had just won the prize, that I've forgotten some of what people have said, which is the perfect time now for me to read it and give it my unbiased opinions. So you'll hear a little bit more about this book in the coming days or weeks. And so that's it. These are the 7 books that I got from the library in my most recent visit. Leave me a comment down below. Let me know if you went to the library this month and what books you took home with you, and if there's anything that you took home that you just know you're not going to read, you're just going to return it to the library. I'd love to hear that as well, because I'm thinking if I'm going to read all of these before it gets time to return them. Let's talk in the comments. Give me a thumbs up if you like this video. Please subscribe if you haven't already. Would love to have you stick around for more of my videos. I have a lot of videos coming today and tomorrow because it's the end of the month and there are a lot of videos to make. So let's see how that goes. Would love to have you stick around for the conversation. Let's talk down there, and until next time, happy reading. Bye.